be me. 26 years old, living with 3 other women in an apartment downtown here. Been living together for about 2 years now in this place total. We all met through mutual friends and decided to get an apartment together. Thought we had really good dynamic and got along well as roommates. My roommates are one who is 25, works as teacher at elementary school. Another who is 27, works as nurse at hospital, doing night shifts often. And the third, who is 26, works in marketing at some corporate company. I work as freelance writer from home, so I'm around apartment most. When we first moved in together, I noticed some problematic behaviors immediately, like how they would make jokes that reinforce gender stereotypes without thinking, or how they consume media without thinking critically about the messages being sent. Felt like it was my responsibility to help educate them about these issues. Whenever I noticed something problematic, I would point it out to them clearly. Like when the teacher mentioned wanting to find a boyfriend, I asked why. Why do you need a man to complete you as a person here? She looked confused and said she did not say that at all. Told her. But that is the implication when women say they want boyfriend. We have been socialized to believe we need men to be happy, always. She said she just wanted companionship, not to be completed by someone. Told her she should examine where that desire comes from more deeply. Or when the nurse came home from work and complained about male doctors, I told her that is exactly the problem with patriarchy in medicine today. She said, "Yeah, that is what I was saying. They dismissed female nurses." I told her she should be calling it out more loudly, not just complaining. The marketing one would watch reality TV shows after work to relax. I would sit with her and point out all the problematic aspects of like how the shows reinforce beauty standards and competition between women for men. She said she knows it is trash TV. She just watches to relax. Told her we cannot just consume media without being critical about it all. She said sometimes she just wants to turn her brain off after work. Told her that is privilege talking, being able to just turn off and relax. She stopped inviting me to watch TV with her after a few weeks of. I would leave notes around the apartment about various issues I noticed there, like on the cleaning supplies, about how pink tax affects women economically here, or on the fridge, about how diet culture is rooted in misogyny and control. Thought I was creating learning environment for all of us to grow in. One time, the teacher bought fashion magazine and left it on coffee table. I left a note on it about how fashion magazines perpetuate unrealistic beauty and how they are tools of patriarchy to keep women focused on appearance. She threw the magazine away, but seemed annoyed about the note I left. Whenever we had roommate dinners together, I would bring up important topics like wage gap or reproductive rights or representation in media and politics. They would engage at first, but conversations always felt a bit tense after. Noticed they started suggesting we just watch movie instead of talking much. The nurse mentioned once she was thinking about freezing her eggs for future. Immediately jumped in with concerns about how fertility industry prez. She said she wants kids someday and just wants options available to her. She told her wanting kids is fine, but we need to examine societal pressure. She got quiet and said she had thought about it plenty already. Thanks. Noticed after that she stopped sharing personal things with me as much anymore, but figured she was just busy with work and her irregular nursing schedule. The marketing one started dating a guy she met through friends few months. She seemed really happy about it and would talk about him sometimes here. I would always ask questions about the relationship dynamics and power balance, like, does he expect you to cook for him or do you split chores? She said they split everything pretty evenly, and he is really respectful actually. Told her that is good, but she should watch out for red flags. She asked what red flags, and I listed several things to watch for. She said none of those apply, but she will keep them in mind. Every time she mentioned him after that, I would bring up something feminist. Like when she said they went to dinner, I asked who paid for the meal. She said they split it, and I said good, because women should never let. She cut me off and said she knows she has heard this before. Noticed over time, my roommates started spending less time in the common areas. They would go straight to their rooms after work instead of hanging out. When I asked if everything was okay, they said, "Yeah, just tired from work." They would felt like they were avoiding me, but could not figure out why exactly. One evening, I was cooking dinner and used one roommate pan without asking. She came home and seemed annoyed that I had used her stuff without permission. Told her we live together. We should share resources, not be so individualistic. She said she does not mind sharing, but I should ask first before. Told her asking permission reinforces capitalist notions of private property and ownership. She stared at me and said it is just basic respect to ask roommates. Told her respect is a social construct used to maintain hierarchies and power. She walked away and went to her room without saying anything else. Few weeks later, the nurse mentioned she was going to visit her parents. I asked if her parents had traditional gender role marriage dynamic going. She said, yeah, her mom stays home and her dad works. Why? Told her she should talk to her mom about how that dynamic limits. She said her mom is happy, and that is what matters to her. Told her happiness under oppression is not real happiness. It is compliance, basically. She said not everything is oppression, and her mom made her choice freely. Told her, but was it really free choice or socialized expectation from childhood? She got frustrated and said she is not having this conversation again. Asked what she meant again, and she said we have this talk constantly. Told her because it is important to think critically about these structures always. She said she does think critically, she just does not agree with me. Noticed the apartment felt more tense lately, but attributed it to stress. Everyone seemed busy with work and life, and we did not hang out. Would try to start conversations about important topics, but they seemed disinterested always. Figured they were just tired and would come around eventually to discussions. Our lease was coming up for renewal in a few months from now. Landlord sent email asking if we wanted to renew for another year together. I responded saying yes, absolutely. We should renew his group here, clearly. Waited for my roommates to respond to the email thread as well. Few days passed and nobody had responded to landlord email about renewal. Brought it up at dinner, asking if everyone was planning to stay here. They all got quiet and looked at each other uncomfortably across the table. Asked what was going on. Why is everyone being weird about this? One roommate finally said they needed to talk to me about something important. Felt nervous, but said, okay, what is it? We can talk about anything. Another said they have been talking, and they decided to find new place. Asked what she meant. New place, like a bigger apartment for all of. The third one said no, they are getting new place without me. Just 3. Feel my stomach drop, hearing her say that to me directly, right now. Asked what she meant without me. Why would they do that to me? One of them said they have been discussing it for a few months now. Asked why they have been discussing leaving me for months without saying anything? Another said because every time they try to talk to me, I lecture them. Told her I do not lecture. I just educate about important issues that matter. The third said that is exactly what they mean. Right there just happened. Asked what they mean, what just happened. I was just responding to her. One said they cannot have normal conversation without me turning it into lesson. Told her, these are not lessons. They are just facts about how world works. Another said they know how the world works. They do not need constant reminders. Told them clearly they do need reminders based on their behaviors.
I see.
The third said this is why they are leaving. They cannot live like this. Ask, live like what? I do not understand what they are talking about. One said they cannot live with someone who criticizes everything they do constantly. Told them I do not criticize. I offer constructive feedback to help grow. Another said, constructive feedback is when someone asks for it, not constant unsolicited. Told them they should want to grow and improve themselves. That is important. The third said they do want to grow, just not the way I demand. Asked when they decided this and why nobody told me until now. Here. One said they decided 2 months ago and found apartment last week. Already. Feel betrayed that they have been planning this behind my back entire time. Asked why they did not include me in the search of lease ending. Another said because they specifically wanted to live without me going forward from now. Asked what is so wrong with living with me that they all want out. The third said living with me is exhausting. They cannot relax in own home. Told her if she feels exhausted, maybe she should examine her privilege more. One said this is exactly what they are talking about right here now. Told her I am just pointing out that discomfort is part of growth process. Another said they are not growing. They are just tired all the time here. Told them being tired of growth means they are resisting necessary change required. The third said they are not resisting change. They just want to live peacefully. Asked, how can you live peacefully when there is so much injustice in the world? One said they can care about injustice without making every conversation about it. Told her that is called being performative if you do not talk about it. Another said they talk about it, just not every single minute of day. Told her injustice does not stop, so neither should our conversations about it. The third said they signed the lease already for the new place together. Feel completely blindsided that they did this without even telling me anything. Asked when they were planning to tell me about this decision exactly. One said they were going to tell me after they signed, which is now. Another said they did not want drama during the apartment search process. Clearly told them not telling me is what created the drama, not the other way. The third said they knew I would try to convince them to stay here. Told her of course I would, because we have good thing going here. One said it is not good for them, it is only good for me. Asked what that means. It is good for me. How is that possible? Another said because I get to lecture them constantly and they have to listen. Told her again, I do not lecture, I educate. There is a difference between. The third said there is no difference when nobody asked for the education given. Told them they should be grateful. Someone cares enough to help them grow. One said they do not want that kind of help from me anymore. Another said they want to live without constantly being corrected and criticized daily. The third said they want to come home and relax, not be analyzed constantly. Told them relaxation is a privilege when there is so much work to do. One said they work all day. They deserve to relax at home. Told her, but the personal is political. We cannot separate the two, ever. Another said they can and they will in their new apartment without me. I'm doing this asked how they can just abandon me like this after 2 years together. The third said they are not abandoning me. They are choosing peace for themselves. Told her choosing peace means choosing ignorance of the systems around you. One said they are not choosing ignorance. They are choosing boundaries with me. Asked what boundaries, they never mentioned needing any boundaries before this. Another said they tried to set boundaries, but I always argued against them. Told her because the boundaries were limiting their growth as people, clearly here. The third said they get to decide what limits their growth, not me. Told her, but they are not seeing the bigger picture of what's happening. One said they see the picture, they just do not want to discuss it. Another said every conversation becomes debate. They cannot just exist around me. The third said they feel like they are constantly being tested and graded here. Told them I am not testing them. I am helping them see their blind spots. One said they do not want help with blind spots anymore from me. Another said they will figure out their own blind spots on their own time. The third said the new lease starts in 6 weeks, so we have time. Asked what I'm supposed to do, find 3 new roommates in 6 weeks. One said they assumed I would find someone, or find different place myself. Told her that is really inconsiderate to spring this on me so suddenly here. Another said 2 months is not sudden. They have been planning this whole time. Told her 2 months that I did not know about, which makes it sudden. The third said they did not tell me because they knew this would happen. Told her what would happen, me being upset that my roommates are abandoning me. One said the drama and the guilt tripping and making it about politics. Told her it is about politics. Everything is about politics and power structures. Another said they are done having this conversation. It is already decided now. The third said they will help me find new roommates if I want help. Told them I do not want their help. I want them to stay here. One said that is not an option. They already signed the lease together. Asked if there is anything I can do to change their minds about. Another said no, there is nothing. The decision is final and done already. The third said, maybe this is good for all of us to have space. The sir told her, space from what? From learning and growing as people? That makes one cuts me off and says, space from you, specifically. That is what feel tears starting, because I genuinely thought we were all close friends. Another said they care about me, but they cannot live with me anymore. The third said living together and being friends are two different things here. Told them if they cared about me, they would not do this to me. One said caring about someone does not mean sacrificing your own peace for another. Said they have been sacrificing their peace for 2 years now here. Told them I had no idea they felt that way about living here. The third said that is because I never asked. I just assumed everything fine. Told her I asked multiple times if everything was okay, and they said... One said they said yes because easier than having another lecture about it. Another said every concern turned into lesson, so they stopped sharing with me. Told them I was trying to help them see things from different perspective. The third said they do not need different perspective. They need peace and quiet. One said they need to live without someone monitoring their every choice made. Another said they need to exist without constant judgment and criticism from roommate. Told them it was not judgment. It was critical analysis of behavior shown. The third said critical analysis of their personal lives they did not ask. One said they are adults who can make their own choices without input. Another said they will make mistakes, and that is okay and part of life. Told them, but I was trying to prevent them from making those mistakes here. The third said they would rather make mistakes than live under microscope like this. One said, living with me feels like being under surveillance all the time. Another said they cannot watch TV or cook or date without commentary from me. Told them commentary is how we learn and grow from each other, always. The third said they do not want to learn from me anymore that way. One said they will learn from their own experiences going forward from now. Another said this is final. They are moving out in 6 weeks. No. Feel absolutely shattered that all 3 of my roommates planned this together. Spent 2 years living with them, thinking we had good friendship and dynamic. Never realized they felt this way about me and my feedback to them. Thought I was helping them become better, more aware people through education. The next 6 weeks are incredibly awkward in the apartment with everyone here. They avoid me even more than before and spend all time in rooms. When we do interact, it is brief and surface-level conversation only. Feel isolated and alone in an apartment I thought was my home with friends. Start looking for new roommates or new apartment, but feel so hurt. Cannot believe they all decided together that I was the problem to remove. Never meant to make them feel criticized or judged by me at all. Thought I was being good roommate by helping them see the world clearly. Talked to my friend about what happened, and she asked me some questions like, did you ever ask if they wanted your feedback before giving it? Tell her no, but they should want to grow and improve themselves always. She says, maybe they were growing, just not in ways you approved of. Asks if I would want someone constantly correcting everything I did at home. Think about it and realize, no. I would probably find that exhausting too. But I was doing it to help them, not to hurt them, that matters. She says, intention does not matter if the impact is making them miserable. Moving day comes and I watch them pack up all their stuff together. They hired movers and are laughing and excited about the new place without me. I feel invisible as they coordinate everything without including me in any of them. I realize I have become the outsider in my own apartment somehow over time. They leave one by one with their stuff and say brief goodbyes to me. Tell them I hope they are happy in their new place without me. One says they will be and hopes I find a good situation too, going. Another says, maybe we can get coffee sometime, but it sounds empty promise. The third says, take care, and that is it, all gone now. Sit in the apartment alone with my stuff and feel completely shattered here. Spent 2 years trying to help them grow and improve as people constantly. And they repaid me by secretly planning to leave me behind without word. Weeks later, I am still living alone because cannot find new roommates yet. Posted in roommate groups, but people who meet me do not follow through. Starting to wonder if maybe I am the problem, like they said before, but I was just trying to help them be better. That is not wrong. Think about all the times I corrected them or gave them feedback unsolicited 47 times a week, like that boyfriend who made spreadsheet about his girlfriend. Realize I might have been doing the same thing to my roommates daily. But I was trying to educate them, not control them. There is difference. Talked to the therapist about what happened, and she asked me why I felt need to constantly educate my roommates instead of just living with them. Tell her because they were doing problematic things and someone had to say? She asks, did they ask for someone to say, or did I decide? Realize I decided for them without asking if they wanted that help. Assumed they needed my guidance and perspective on everything they did wrong. Never considered that they might be happy with themselves as they were. My constant feedback came from thinking I knew better than them always. Therapist asks if I would want roommates who corrected me constantly like that. Say, no, I would move out too, which is exactly what happened here. She says maybe the way to help people is not through constant criticism. Told her it was not criticism. It was education about important issues, clearly. She says education without consent is not education. It is control and dominance. Sit with that and feel uncomfortable, because that is what they said, too. Realize maybe I was not helping them grow, I was just controlling them. My feminism became weapon. I used to micromanage their entire lives daily. Months later, I heard through mutual friends they are doing great together. Apparently, they are much happier in a new apartment without me there constantly. I feel jealous, but also sad that I pushed them away with my behavior. Never meant to be controlling, I genuinely thought I was helping them. Think about those 2 years and how I turned every conversation into lesson. Never just asked about their day or watched TV without analyzing it completely. Every interaction became opportunity to educate them about something problematic they did. No wonder they felt exhausted. They could never just exist around me peacefully. Realize now that real feminism is about respecting people's autonomy and choices, not about constantly correcting your roommates until they cannot stand living with you. I thought I was helping them grow, but I was destroying our friendship daily. My intentions were good, but the impact was driving them away from me. Still living alone a year later because people do not want a room with me. Word got around somehow that I am difficult to live with. Apparently now my old roommates never reached out for that coffee they mentioned when leaving. Realize I burned those bridges completely with my constant, unsolicited feedback given. Sometimes thinking you are helping people is really just controlling them completely here. Sometimes feminism becomes excuse to micromanage instead of actually respecting others. Autonomy there. Sometimes 3 roommates secretly planning to leave is only way to escape situation created. And sometimes you are shattered when lease renewal shows they all agreed without you.